All right, go ahead and read this one out loud.
Okay. So, recent investigations of earthquakes have turned up a previously unknown type of systemic shock known as a displacement pulse, which is believed to be present in all earthquakes. Okay, so basically there's a shock that happens when in an earthquake, and it's known as a displacement pulse, and it is present in all earthquakes. So every time there's an earthquake, there's a displacement pulse.
Mm-hmm.
Alarmingly, high-rise buildings are especially vulnerable to displacement pulses, according to computer models. So in a way, this is telling me that high-rise buildings that experience earthquakes are vulnerable to these displacement pulses, which to me, they're almost the same thing, because every time there's an earthquake, there's also a displacement pulse.
Right, and it makes sense why they're vulnerable, right? Because they're so high.
Right.
That's
Yet examinations of high rises within cities damaged by recent powerful earthquakes indicates little significant damage to these structures. So I'm looking at this when I looked at this. Maybe I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm probably looking at this totally different than I did when I read the question the first time. I'm going to use an example of like in San Francisco. So we know that there's all these high risers in San Francisco, and we do have all of these earthquakes that do happen, and yet none of these buildings are damaged.
Yeah, why?
I did not analyze this question this way when I read it the first time. So they're not, because of the way that architects have built these buildings.
Yes, they know that they're probably going to be vulnerable to them.
Vulnerable. So they have taken in consideration and have done things to counteract that issue. So which one of the following, if true, I'm not even gonna look at what I answered the first time, contributes to a resolution of the apparent paradox? Displacement pulses travel longer distance than other types of, that's out. Scientific predictions based on computer models often fail when tested in the field. I don't think so, but I'm gonna question mark. While displacement pulses have only recently been discovered, they have accompanied all earthquakes that have ever occurred. Well, I'm not sure how that contributes to a resolution, so I would take that out. The displacement pulses made by low and medium intensity earthquakes are much less powerful than those made by the strongest earthquakes. Well, that I don't think is relevant. Computer models have been very successful in predicting the effects of other types of systemic shocks. Well, to me, that doesn't contribute either, but computer models have been. See, I didn't predict this, right? So I predicted the resolution would have been the architectural structure of the buildings were designed to offset these displacement pulse damages. So contributes to the resolution of the apparent paradox.
Oh, wait. Why did we cross off D?
I don't know, because now I have to go back and really understand what the question is asking, right? So I completely understand what the statement is saying. Like,
so what are the two things that we're trying to be true, right? We're trying to make true that that these displacement pulses are present in all earthquakes,
right?
and high-rise buildings are especially vulnerable to the displacement pulses, according to computer models.
Right.
So according to the computer models, the high-rises are extremely vulnerable to these pulses. Yet,
Right.
whenever we have powerful earthquakes, there's little damage done.
Well, then I would say it would be B, because the scientific prediction based on computer models often fail when tested in this field. Because we know that powerful earthquakes affect high risers, and that there are displacement pulses within every earthquake. And according to these models, they're vulnerable.
Because
Okay.
and
See, I would, okay, so if I look at, let's eliminate then instead of trying to make one work. So the displacement pulses made by low and medium intensity earthquakes are much less powerful than those made by the strongest earthquakes. But we're talking about the most powerful earthquakes. So I wouldn't think that
Right.
that would
This
be
doesn't
relevant.
matter. The low and medium, I was making sure you got this. Yeah. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter about low, medium versus strongest. We're just talking about why these powerful earthquakes don't cause damage when our computer systems say that they should.
Right.
Excellent.
I mean, I would still say it's B because,
Excellent. No, you're right.
am I right?
Yeah.
Okay. What did I put? Let me see what I put. Oh, well,